Hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen, kids of all ages. My name is Avi, and welcome welcome to episode 5 of Infinite Alchemy. Last time, we had our way through most of Prodigy Tech, and this time, we're gonna get our way through the rest of Prodigy Tech, unlocking Immersive Engineering. And we're gonna do some automation along the way. It's a pretty big episode we're in for, so let's get started. If you were eyeing my business during the intro to this episode, you'd notice that I was looking heavily at the refined circuit, the next tier of circuit after all this. But before I really get into working towards that, I just want to stock up on crude circuits, so here I am making 8 of those. I also upgraded the furnaces because we're getting to the point where basic metals like iron, copper, and tin aren't an issue, so much to the point that I have too much of them. I'm macerating together stuff for energy on dust, stuff that we basically all had on hand at the moment, and magnetically reassemble it into an energy on seed crystal. This is not important immediately, but it will be important very soon in future Prodigy Tech. Let's talk about the refined circuit properly, shall we? To get the refined circuit, we have to solder a crude circuit chip onto a circuit board. And to get a crude circuit chip, we have to hammer together a gold gear or gold wire with a nickel plate and a circuit board. This is to say we need more gold, so I get that situated. But it's not a super cheap process. The magnetic reassembler finishes with the energy on crystal seed, and I get a crystal cutter so that we can plant it and have it grow. Energeon is interesting. It's effectively a new source of power for the time being, and it can also heat up machines to 250 degrees Celsius, something we will make very great advantage of in short time. Getting the ingredients required for the crude circuit chip isn't all that difficult, all things considered, and after just a little bit of crafting, we got it. The crude circuit chip, one of the components required for the refined circuit. There is another one, though. Another one that I don't immediately notice at the time. Let's see if one of you people, being the smart little cookies that you are, can realize where I am going wrong with this soldering process. The answer will be revealed shortly! Also, we harvest our first bits of energy on crystal, and we can immediately just reduplicate them. Before I realize the error of my ways yet, here I am upgrading my furnaces one more time. We're not getting the gold ones. And you get a second look at my grave mistake. Where am I going wrong? Vote now on your phones. And finally, my third brain cell activates and I realize, hey, even with heat this isn't working. What the hell is going on? The answer is, just like how the crude circuit requires a crude circuit pattern, this requires a refined circuit pattern, which I just straight up did not make. Making the refined circuit pattern is mostly trivial, except for the fact that it takes Constantan, which I begin to loathe, because Constantan takes nickel, and I've kind of been silently dreading obtaining nickel for quite a while now. It just never seemed like there was a particularly nice way to get it, and oh, you can make it with rice slime balls and tin. How quaint. So, now that we have nickel, which I was for no reason dreading for the past 2 episodes, what exactly do we do with it? Well, there's the obvious thing, where we alloy it with copper to get Constantan, which we then use to get the refined circuit pattern. And we will do that, don't worry. But you're also going to see that we are going to be using nickel to make a very special item. We'll focus on that later. Looking forwards, we will end up finding that the Immersive Engineering Engineer's Hammer requires a 250 degrees Celsius capacitor. You can only charge something up to 250 degrees Celsius using Energeon, so we have to make an Energeon arrow heater. All of these arrow heaters build on top of one another. They're a sequential craft. And I'll be honest, they feel a lot easier to craft these days. So that's good. And it makes the process a little bit less harrowing. Energion, by the way, is fully renewable. Once you place down that Energion seed crystal, it will slowly grow into a more mature form, and then you can just harvest it with a crystal cutter, and that will get you more Energion crystals. So it's very nice. And we also, now that we add the Constantan, we are now able to make the refined circuit pattern for a refined circuit. And we can start looking even closer to the engineer's hammer. And for that, we need that refined circuit that we have been desperately waiting so long for. It took like an hour maybe in real time, but you know, so long for this refined circuit, which takes an obscene amount of gold as well. But there we go, we have the refined circuit. We've entered the MV era, I guess, in Infinite Alchemy. There's no fun to be had in Infinite Alchemy's MV era, though. I'm charging up a 125C capacitor and placing down the Energion arrow heater so that we can be prepared for the 251, because that we do need for the hammer. Speaking of the hammer, I get every other part of it mostly completed. The 2 Invar plates, the Constantan, and also the hot Energion that we need. This will then be combined with 2 other 125 capacitors and the simple circuit to get us a 250C capacitor, which is going to be required for the engineer's hammer. And the only way to heat something up to 250C is by using an Energion arrow heater and heat accumulating it with Energion dust. And with that finished up, we're ready to make the hammer. Using one 250C capacitor, 2 Invar plates, a Constantan rod, and a refined circuit, we have unlocked Immersive Engineering, the next mod in this mod pack. The next tech mod. We're still not quite out of the non-RF rabbit hole, but we are closer. We are so much closer. That's a lot of progression. However, we really haven't changed a lot about how we do things around here. A lot of it's manual, a lot of it's just putting things together by hand. Let's put an end to that. Let us start making some automated cobblestone generators using the power of the world interaction upgrades from extra utilities. The crafting recipes for which are a little bit of a rabbit hole. It requires making a block breaker, but the hardest parts of the recipes that I was finding was that they take 2 zinc gears, 1 nickel gear, and 1 flint singularity. That is to say, 256 flint for each and every single world interaction upgrade, as well as 13 nickel and 26 zinc. They are pricey. And if you want to know the specifics of how they're made, well, just watch the video. But I'm going to talk about what they do, because what they do is fantastic. We can place them underneath a kind of a cobblestone generator, and they will automatically harvest from it. And it doesn't even need to be a complete cobblestone generator. It can be kind of half-assed. It just needs the liquids on the other side. So we are going to replace our big cobblestone generator, our 32 times one, with just one tiny little building to do it. And it ended up taking a while, but it's going to be far more efficient because, most importantly, it's gonna run in the background. That's right, after so long of working with these kinds of cobblestone generator designs, we are finally able to automate it. Also, these storage drawers, I didn't really notice, they store up to 8,000 items at base, which is kind of crazy. So not only is it going to, you know, just store up cobblestone, it's going to store up a lot of it. Now, the only downside to these things is really that we're not going to be able to do the auto hammer, auto whatever process with them. So whenever we're going to want to get gravel or sand or whatever, we're going to have to manually dig that out. But I think that is a worthy price to pay for having a lot of cobblestone on hand. And I'm sorry, cobblestone, it's not just cobblestone. Any single thing that you can make in this cobblestone generator style will work for this. Which, there's a lot that we can do. So while this is only for cobblestone, we're going to have a lot more that we're going to need to work on later. So this is the first of many. The second one is going to be andesite, which for some reason the hint menu doesn't have the other fluid interaction that forms it. But I digress. For clarity's sake, just know that this is actually later in the recording that I did this part, but it just flows better being here. So you kind of got time warped. Anyways, the andesite thing takes molten andesite and blue slime. And, well, I have difficulty setting it up at first, because it is actually region-specific where the lava and water go. There it is. We have both cobblestone and andesite fully automated. We have side quested our way through automation, so it is time to get back to the progression mines. For anything in immersive engineering, at least starting out, we want industrial clay. So, let's make it. I kind of decide that the best industrial clay recipe is easily one with 2 fire clay, 1 inferno crystal, 1 constantan blend, 1 porcelain clay, and then 1 piece of dried clay, which is able to be substituted out for kaolin or bitumen, just things that we don't have, but we can get dried clay. For the industrial clay, probably the hardest part is just the inferno crystals, because they take a lot of prep time to get. So I start putting sugar in the magnetic reassembler so that we can get the sugar cubes required for it. I also harvest some of the energeon crystals that we have growing. Just imagine I do this every once in a while to stay relatively stocked up on it, because they take some time to grow. I make the constantan blocks required to get the constantan ingots to turn into the constantan blend for it, and I also the dried clay is finished processing, so I'm able to macerate that to get the dried clay gravel as well. Porcelain clay is easy, and we even have a more efficient recipe for it these days. And now we can make the inferno fuel after getting the pulverized coal. We've had to make it before, so none of this is even new. After reassembling it into inferno crystals and getting the constantan blend required, we can finally make the industrial clay. There is, of course, more efficient recipes, but the more efficient recipe for industrial clay requires creosote, which we obviously do not have access to at the moment. So we're going to have to stick with this one, and 32 industrial clay is actually a really decent amount to have at this moment, because a lot of the recipes don't use that much of it, at least for immersive engineering. We aren't actually going to work much with immersive engineering immediately. Instead, I think about making some neal, getting some enriched clay, and deciding to make just a little bit of walking around fire clay. And it just so happens that enriched clay triples our fire clay production. So, yeah, there's a lot of walking around fire clay in the business now. Fire clay is needed for a couple of different immersive engineering machines, but also we just need a lot of it in general. So this kind of thing, having enriched clay on hand is, going to be nice. Now with that settled, we can actually make something from immersive engineering. Here, we are going to make the alloy kiln bricks. Surprisingly, I don't even end up using this today, but, with immersive engineering on the horizon, we're going to need a properly dedicated immersive engineering area. You know what that means? It's montage time, baby. shorter montage than usual, but I just really like the fact that there's a Toho remake coming out soon. Anyways, I make arrowroot because we're gonna need that for something. And arrowroot, I mean, it was really, really cheap to make. It's just a crop, you can grow it. And more specifically, I have arrowroot planned for something in the very soon future. But for right now, let's make those coke oven bricks that we were looking at. Coke oven bricks are actually really easy. They just take runestone and brick, and you get a lot of them. So I decided to make enough for 2 coke ovens, a whole 54 coke oven bricks, just like that. I gotta place down the alloy kiln and coke oven in our immersive engineering area. So alloy kiln is middlingly useful. It's more useful that it can make some alloys that Tinker Smeltery can't. And also that I really want the Tinker Smeltery to be plugged up for other things, so it's kinda nice. The coke ovens are the really useful part because creosote is required for a lot of different things. It's required for creosolum, it's required for quite a few different things. But, I mean, even though the coke ovens are gonna be great, and they are required, we're honestly really looking more for the blast furnace from Immersive Engineering. For obvious reasons, if you've ever played any mod pack ever. That's right, we're on the road to steel. Before we do that, let's make ourselves a little thing for automating granite. The last bit of automation we'll do in this episode. And also set ourselves on fire while we're at it, because I'm a dum-dum. First off, roots, I guess. We're gonna do the wild root growth ritual. This will allow us to get wildwood, which I thought we needed for what we are going to make, but we actually don't. So I kind of did this for no reason. I did this for a reason. I'm going to need wildwood in the future, but for right now, we absolutely do not need this for this episode. So, you know, good work on my behalf. Alright, the actual plan. We want to get blast bricks. To get blast bricks, we can react coke oven bricks with either crude circuits, which are really fucking expensive, or burn powder, which is going to take some setup, but is ultimately going to take significantly less time. I think I know which way I'm going to go. I'll make these living arrows so that we can end up using them on creepers later, which is, I'll be honest, the living arrow kind of way of making things is weird, but whatever. So that we can get sulfur, which is one of the things required for burn powder. I'm also there drying out magma slime balls to get gelatinous magma slime, and I'm looking at the wood infuser for charred logs, which is another thing required for burn powder. Really, after the charred logs and the sulfur, the rest of it kind of just falls into place for the burn powder, so we're just gonna rush our way all the way to all the burn powder that we end up needing. To get the wood infuser, we're gonna need 3 flint stiffened meshes, so I start that up. And also, we're gonna need a decent amount of treated wood, so I get that situated as well. We'd already had the coke ovens running, so we have a decent stockpile of creosote. I'm going to talk about the wood infuser here because it's most convenient, but the way the wood infuser works is that you have to light a fire under it, put items within it, and then put a block on top of it. It's kind of weird, and I mean, you'd really honestly just have to play with it yourself in order to figure out exactly how it works, but it's simple enough. It's actually a really easy craft after getting the treated wood, and we can use it to make, most importantly, our charred logs. Also, each wood infuser recipe has a fail percentage chance, which honestly, I don't understand exactly what that means, because when I was playing with it, it never failed. Also, I realized that the logs have to be placed very specifically so that they actually turn. So, yay for metadata, I guess. Beyond the weird log direction curmudgeonly, the charred logs come actually really, really easy, and we get ourselves a good stockpile of them. I also make the extra coke bricks that we're gonna need to actually turn into the blast bricks with the burn powder. now that there's a creeper in the mob farm, we can also click on it with the living arrows to get sulfur. You can do this with a couple of other things, and it's actually why we got the arrow route earlier. But, I'll be honest, I'm kind of meh on this sort of thing. I feel like it's an artifact of an earlier version of the pack, where there was less progression options. Now it just feels kind of weird. I also get this mystery egg, so we can get ourselves a little rocket creeper friend. Yay! 2 charred logs, 1 sulfur, 1 fire blossom, which I didn't even cover because we have so much of it, and 1 gelatinous magma drop gets us 4 burn powder. And each burn powder makes 3 blast bricks, so it's actually quite a nice deal, and significantly better than using crude circuits to make blast bricks. Are you kidding? I decided to also actually, play a little fast and loose with how I'm doing the explosion stuff. I'm not going to cover exactly how the explosive mechanics in Prodigy Tech work. If you want to figure that out, do it yourself. But I found that using 3 energy on an 18 inferium gets us perfect for 9 coke oven bricks to turn into 9 blast bricks. So, that's nice. More importantly, that means that the blast furnace is completed, at least the simple one. I ain't even gonna worry about no improved blast furnace, no nothing. I'm just good that we finally have the crude blast furnace, and we can finally start making steel. And I mean, steel is steel. This is still a bit of a tech mod pack, and steel is steel. And steel in any mod pack is so required for so many things. But there's even more things we can make with the blast furnace. We can start getting cactus charcoal for creosotum. There's just so many things that having access to immersive engineering opens up properly for us that we didn't have before. And as we close the curtains on this episode, I do want to say, sorry about the break in between the 2 episodes. It's just, I've been, doing a lot. It's been still pretty busy for me out here, but I'm slowly starting to get back into the groove of things, get back into video editing and, recording for these things. And I think maybe, hopefully, if things all go well, these will start coming out more regularly rather than at like 10 p.m. on a Wednesday. Normal stuff. Anyways, our first bit of steel is done. That feels like just about the right time to properly conclude this episode. Steel is steel, and I'm really excited to see what this pack has roaring for us after Immersive Engineering. But this was the perfect episode. We got a good amount of automation done, and we got a good amount of progression done as well. Just jam-packed today. Of course, let's hope we can continue that momentum next time.